As fires rage across California and smoke pollution covers huge swaths of the Bay Area, I am faced with my own emergency. I have burnt through the last few empty pages of my journal. I need to go get a new journal, and it's super smoky outside. They say being outside is like smoking 5 packs of cigarettes, and because of the big huge fires near Chico, but I'm desperate for a new journal, so I gotta go right now to the art store and get one. You can see the ash on my car. It's not as bad as it was yesterday though. On days like this, you have to think about the trade-offs, because for me, for example, I could potentially stay home all day today and justify staying home or rationalize staying home on the basis of the smoke and how I shouldn't be out breathing this smoke, which you can't really see that well right now on the camera, but it would be really easy for me to do that, and it does like feel unhealthy, and I can really smell it in my car, and I'm not wearing a mask, but at the same time, it's unhealthy for me in other ways to stay home all day, especially from sort of a psychological perspective. If I don't get out and do things outside of my house for like 2 days in a row, it starts really taking a toll on my mental health, I would say. Morning.
How you doing?
Good.
Good.
So I ordered a Stillman and Birn journal. Oh, great. Yay. Thank you. Yeah, my current one is pretty much all filled up, so.
That's better than mine. Mine's completely.
Excited to get my new Stillman and Birn Alpha Series sketchbook because I just filled up my last one. I literally yesterday was nature journaling on the back front cover. I like this size right here. First of all, it's 9 by 12, which is pretty big. There's some downsides, but for me, having a large journal makes it easier for me to spend a lot of time in it. I have in the past used smaller journals, such as this one. This is a moleskin one, and I thought, oh, this would be so convenient. And what happens to me is that by the time I get to halfway down the page, my hand is sort of coming off the bottom, and it feels very limiting in that way. It also is harder to, especially because this is not spiral bound, it's harder to use this side of the page. It doesn't lay flat, and I really like to do big compositions, and it just feels less inviting to me. And what I've noticed in the past is that, as you can tell from this one that's hardly been used, is that I end up doing a lot more journaling when I have a larger format. This Alpha Series is heavyweight paper, so it's 150 GSM, and the weight of the paper is really important to me because I do a lot of watercolor, as you can tell, and I like to do pretty heavy washes sometimes, but what I've noticed is that if I go up to their next heavier paper, they call it extra heavyweight, and it's 270 GSM. So not double, but it's quite a bit heavier, and it ends up being a book with fewer pages. So this book has 50 pages, I believe, and the other one has half of that. And so what happens is, I have used those in the past. I've used this Beta series, and I've used the Zeta series, and both of those are 270 GSM, and they have fewer pages, and I just don't like that as much. And it's usually overkill for what I do, because if you look through my journal, I have pages where there is no watercolor, and I don't need such a heavy piece of paper for just writing on or for nature journaling. And what I've found is, you can see that this paper has some warping, especially on the pages where I've done heavy washes, you know, and you can see that it still holds up to it enough for me to get away with it. And my thing that I do is, I try to actually push paper a little bit further than what it's made to do. So this is the medium grain surface, and I have found that when I use the smooth ones, like for example this Epsilon series is the same in other ways as this Alpha, but it's completely smooth paper. One thing that I've noticed is that I do a lot of graphite work, and what I've noticed is that I end up getting a lot more smearing of the graphite when I use that smoother paper, and it doesn't look as good for watercolor. It has like sort of a weird effect with watercolor. So that's why I use the medium grain surface, and I have in the past used the ivory. Let's see if we can find one here. So this is the Gamma series, which is everything is the same as the one that I'm using right now, except that it's ivory paper. So just to show you what that looks like, it has this kind of almost antique feeling to it, or Renaissance feeling, which I kind of like, but it does affect the colors, and it makes it more difficult to scan since the background is not totally white. So depending on what you're going to be doing with your journal, you might like that ivory background. I think it's kind of pleasant, but you won't be able to achieve as saturated of colors, and it won't be as easy to scan. I think that might have played a role in this painting where the colors are all very muted. What else? Those are all the main reasons why I'm currently using this Alpha series, and Stillman and Birn is a good company. The spiral binding is essential for the way that I do journaling, because I'm often holding my sketchbook like this, and I can't do that with a hardbound sketchbook. And some people say that the paper moves around more with a spiral bound sketchbook, and that causes more smearing of the graphite. I don't really worry too much about that anymore. And those are basically the main reasons why I like this. The paper quality is really high. The board on the covers is really good. I often do big illustrations on both sides, and I've found that it's really great. So it's not the cheapest sketchbook out there. These ones that I get range between $25 and $30 per sketchbook, which is not the cheapest, but I've been using them for quite a while and am very happy with them. So try them out. That's my review of Stillman and Birn.
Most of those are Stillman and Birn.